Joining us now is the Republican congressman from the state of Georgia, Rich McCormick. He is a member of the House Armed Services and Foreign Affairs Committee. Congressman, thanks for being back here on the Hill on NewsNation. Appreciate the time, sir. When you hear those comments from Vladimir Putin as a member of the committees that you sit on, relevant in this case, what do you make of it?
Well, I'm a child of the 80s. I joined the military during the Reagan years. I remember that Reagan's message was the same from 1963 to about 1989. Smaller government, defeat communism. It's that simple. It disturbs me that it seems like Tucker Carlson really has been sympathetic to the Russian cause. He reads straight out of Russian propaganda. I think that Putin is nefarious at best. If you listen to the things that he says, it's not just about the old Soviet Union. It's about Peter the Great, Catherine the Great. Catherine the Great famously said, the only way for me to secure my borders is to expand them. He wants a Russian empire. He wants to expand his borders. He wants to take out other countries, Moldova, Latvia, Estonia. He wants to expand into NATO countries. Europe understands this vehemently. They're expanding their military. You can see what Poland's doing. We have a war at hand right now, and you have a commitment that we made both in the Budapest Accords and by a unanimous vote by NATO to support a friendly country. We'd much rather have a secure Europe with 70% of Europe's grain stores and other unbelievable resources than a bigger, stronger Russia that's friends with China and Iran.
A good personal relationship, quote unquote, with Trump, but hasn't talked to the current commander-in-chief in essentially 2 years. Does there need to be direct dialogue there, in your view, Congressman?
Absolutely. You're talking about two essentially superpowers, and Russia is on the decline, but they're going to be investing 20% of their GDP into their military next year. Now, that could bankrupt their system. It could be kind of like what happened to Gorbachev in the USSR, but I'm not going to bank on anything when you have a weaponry and military that's expanding that rapidly to do one thing, which is to take over a large portion of Europe and its natural resources. That worries me, and we have to be very, very considerate when we consider how we're going to support Ukraine and at the same time keep the American public support.
So I hear your worries, and I also see, Congressman, what's going on here in Washington, which was a border bill tied around aid for Ukraine and Israel. In the case of Ukraine, $60 billion shot down in a matter of hours by Senate Republicans. Now the conversation is, should just the foreign aid component of it, to the tune of some $90 billion and still the $60 billion for Ukraine, go forward? If the Senate, Congressman, were to pass that, should Mike Johnson, the House Speaker, bring it up in your chamber? And would you support it?
I think the best thing we could do is actually bring up each one of these bills individually. I think they can all pass in separate ways. I think the border bill is pretty simple. We already passed it. H.R. 2 was passed. The Senate sat on it. It's what codifies what worked in the past.
But that's not happening. So but that's not happening. You and I know it. Everyone in Washington knows it. So let's just move past that for a second. The reality is that you might have a decision to make on the foreign aid component. And so that's why I wonder, and I know your position is bring it up individually, but what we're dealing with right now is potentially a $90 billion bill. So should the House Speaker put it on the floor, and would you support that?
I think so. Here's the thing. I think I'm a big supporter of Ukraine, but I don't like the way it's designed. Biden's done a horrible job of selling it. He's giving aid to USAID and World Banks, and it's ended up going to Africa and everywhere but Ukraine, anywhere up but the military. Now, we do have a large portion that going towards our military, but why don't we just focus on that? You can get people's minds wrapped around that when you have strict accountability, when you have a mission, when you have something that you're trying to achieve that applies directly to us and comes back to help us economically and solidifies Europe. But the way that Biden's doing it is all wrong, and he can't sell anything anyways. That's the problem with him. A confused old guy who doesn't even know how to sell his own product.
All right. Got to leave it there. Congressman McCormick, thanks for being back here on the Hill. Appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
My pleasure.
Thank you for watching, and make sure you go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.